Hi there everybody and welcome to your monthly dose of me, Katarina Cosplay. Happy Halloween! Ooh, is that scary enough? I put a skeletal head in the frame so it's a bit spookier, but it is still summer, but I'm already recording the Halloween video. Yeah, so I am recording in summer because I have time now and I'm not sure if I'm gonna have time next month, so we're just gonna do the video a little early and it will be up around Halloween, so let's get into the video. So for this video I'm going to be reading and reacting to some of your convention horror stories. Don't get me wrong, conventions are really fun. I love cosplaying. I wouldn't be doing it if I did not enjoy it. However, every cosplayer does have some sort of horror story, and I'm not talking like ghosts, I'm talking about things going terribly wrong, costumes breaking, someone being kind of awkward, or just interacting weirdly, and in my opinion, the best way to cope with this is to just laugh about it. And what would be a better time to make this video than Halloween? So that's what we're doing. So I have the screenshots on my phone that I'm going to be reading, so if I look at my phone it's because I'm reading the story. I'm going to kind of read them in least severe to most severe and kind of put a trigger warning if I feel like that's necessary. And then once I've read through yours, I'm going to tell you one of my convention horror stories. So let's get into it. Starting off pretty simple. This one says, actually had a friend with a Jason Voorhees mask follow me and not tell me until later. Which, on the one hand, sounds kind of funny, on the other hand, I would shit myself. I would literally cry if I was being followed by like a horror film character. That sounds kind of spooky. Actually, does anyone remember, I live in the Netherlands, but I'm sure it happened at other conventions as well, when Slender Man came out and people were cosplaying Slender Man and like deliberately standing in like the background when people were taking photos and you'd only notice until after. That shit was kind of creepy, especially because I was like 15 or something when it happened. But that I don't hate horror, but I don't love being like spooked without my consent. The next short horror story. Paying more in customs fees than the actual cosplay costs, which was heartbreaking. The cosplay ended up being mediocre as hell too. It's oh, the pain of trying to find a costume, it costing more than you'd anticipated, and it then ending up being shitty. I'm so sorry this happened to you. That really sucks. Okay, now we're getting into things that might make you upset categories. So the next one says, people said that my cosplay wasn't accurate because my shirt was the wrong shade of red. Lol, it hurt me so bad, I don't know why. Yeah, general advice, if you're going to a convention and you want to interact with cosplayers, not everyone is going to be 100% accurate, and expecting that from people who make costumes as a hobby is a bit ridiculous. It's also kind of unnecessary. This cosplayer probably knew that the shirt wasn't the right shade, and that shouldn't matter unless they're doing like a competition and you're a judge for that competition. Just keep that kind of stuff to yourself, buddy. If you really feel the need to see a cosplayer with the right shade of shirt, make it yourself. I sort of need to put a trigger warning for like inappropriate behavior from adults to minors, so totally understand if you don't want to listen to this. Sign off now. It was nice seeing you. I'll see you in the next video, which will be different. But yeah, just a heads up that we're now getting into that territory. There was a photographer and made some pics, gave me his card for his website, and I checked it. Nothing there, and I found out he had a website, he followed me and my friends, and he had tried to make pics of our skirts, etc., go viral or something. I was so scared. Not really horror, no, this is just creepy. So from what I understand, this photographer took photos under the pretense of, oh, I want to photograph your costumes, and then just took photos of the skirts, which is creepy. Don't do that. You don't know how old someone is. You don't, even if they're an adult, they didn't consent to this. It's really, I don't get why it's so hard for people to figure out that that's an inappropriate thing to do. I'm so sorry that happened to you, Jesus Christ. So we're on to the final story. A grown man hit on me and my boyfriend at the time when we were 16, kept pushing us to go out for drinks, and was weird after we corrected him when he called us girls, because you can't tell with these cosplays. We were two well-known male characters. It was very uncomfortable, not gonna lie. Is it hard to tell what someone's gender is when they're in a costume? Maybe, yes. A really easy way to figure it out, though, is to ask for their pronouns. Also, just don't invite minors to drink, especially if they've already expressed that it makes them uncomfortable and that they're not interested. So yeah, those were your stories. Now let's get on to mine, because I have a lot of stories, but I'm going to start with this one because this one I can laugh about. Right, so this story I find kind of funny, but it was definitely horrifying in the moment. So I went to this convention with some friends, and I was cosplaying Maki Sekrisu from Steins Gate. Now, if you're not familiar with Steins Gate, one of the like references or memes in the fandom is that everyone drinks Dr. Pepper. So I had this big like 1 litre bottle of Dr. Pepper with me, both as a prop but also just stay hydrated as much as I could. So we're outside of this convention and I'm just having a drink, and this Naruto cosplayer runs up and he's really friendly, and I had the idea that he knew at least one of my friends, and that's why he was interacting like that. And then he turned to me and he was like, I love Dr. Pepper, and just yoinked the bottle out of my hand and started drinking it. Had already taken a sip and then asked if I wanted some, and I was kind of like, I guess, under the pretense that I thought he was one of my friend's friends. Drank half the bottle, like half of it, that was something, and then just ran off again. And that, I mean, was already that already had me taken aback, but what was worse was afterwards, the bottle smelt and tasted like plaque, which is the gunk that collects around your teeth when you don't brush them. So I threw away the bottle and did not drink any of it because that's disgusting. Yeah, so don't do that. I don't know why things that seem like they'd be common sense are so hard to pick up for some convention visitors. I mean, genuinely, most visitors at conventions are such nice, normal people, but there's always like, of like the 10 years that I've been going to conventions, there's not that many stories that I have, but the weird things that occur are so off the rails that you can't make this shit up. It's how did that happen? Why did that happen? What the fuck? So yeah, that's all the horror stories I have for you today. Hope you enjoyed. I hope that even the stories that were kind of terrible in the sense that there was just nothing, it's the thing that happened was just uncomfortable and unpleasant. I hope that this doesn't scare you away from the hobby. Genuinely, 99% of cosplayers and convention visitors are just regular normal people who love anime, video games, comics and that kind of stuff, and they're really pleasant to interact with. It's just that with a safe space where people can interact together, some people seem to have this idea that they don't need to have some sort of filter, or just don't think about their actions, or have a hard time picking up social cues. With inappropriate behaviour in conventions, during conventions, the organisation can take note and even blacklist visitors that are incredibly inappropriate. This doesn't always work, but the more people speak up about this, the more chance there is for there actually to be consequences. And some of these things don't necessarily, like the guy drinking my Dr. Pepper, I don't think he needs some sort of terrible consequence. I just prefer if he didn't do it in the future. I probably should have confronted him at the time that was a weird thing to do. But I didn't, because I was an awkward 15-year-old, and now I have a funny story to tell. So that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next month. Bye!